Please join me in welcoming Mike Kerr.
Katie said that we could take this microphone down here, so the challenge for me is to figure out how to get this out, so I did. Well, you know what? They weren't kidding. I just recently had open heart surgery, quadruple bypass, and a new aortic valve. How about that? And it's a pig valve, and there's bacon out here today. Now it's still there. Okay, still ticking. All right, good. Hope you enjoyed the bacon. You know, they weren't kidding. They said that the doctor came out and told my wife, said, well, you know, we're going to give your husband 30 years. That would put me at 96. So I doubt that that's going to be the case. However, you know what? They weren't kidding. George said I began my career in Winter Haven. So they really aren't kidding. I'm really 36, not 66. So how about that? Okay. One of the good things about the State of the City address is that you get to talk about the city team. And so that's what I'm going to do this morning. The first thing I want to do is greet Mayor Dantzler and say good morning, Mayor, Vice Mayor, or Mayor Pro Tem Nat Birdsong. Commissioner Powell is here, and Commissioner Twyford is here. So good morning to our city commissioners. Commissioner Chiquetto, as you know, works in Orlando, so he couldn't make it today, and he sends his regrets. I've got some people in the audience that I need to recognize because they are, one is a former colleague of mine and a true champion of excellence. Marcia Andreessen is here this morning. I know she heads up the county's Human Services Department, but a person that I have a great deal of respect for, who is a leader in county government, has been a leader in county government for many years, and is a champion for excellence, is Leanne Thomas. And Leanne is here today. I'd like for you to give her and Marcia a round of applause. I want to tell you why Leanne is a champion for excellence. Going back several years ago, Leanne and I were, kind of saying grace over the Citizens Healthcare Oversight Committee, and really just kind of getting the bulk healthcare plan up and running because the half-penny sales tax for healthcare had been approved by you, the voters. And so we knew that maintaining credibility and accountability and being good stewards was very important. Well, under my watch, we ran out of money. Okay? The revenue and the expenses didn't match each other, and so consequently, I accepted responsibility for that. It wasn't something I was proud of, but it was something that needed to get done. It needed to be fixed. And the right person to get that fixed was Leanne, and she did that. And so I took a quick peek at the county organizational chart because I don't pay that much attention to the county anymore, obviously, except when I need something. And so Leanne is still saying grace over the Citizens Healthcare Oversight Committee. And one of the things I'm most impressed with are the partnerships that the Citizens Healthcare Oversight Committee, working under Leanne's direction, and also the county commission that they've established. And the Bay healthcare system is a great example with the physician's internship program that they just recently put a couple $1 million in. The bulk healthcare plan is about healthcare, but it's also about economic development. So let's give a shout out to Leanne again. Thank you very much. Okay, let's begin. I want to start with explaining to you that in probably, I guess it was February, we rolled out, got all of our leadership team together, our department directors and our division directors, and we developed a new mission statement for city government, a new vision, and we identified organizational values that we think are very important, that we need to demonstrate as a team. Every employee, okay? Doesn't make any difference what your rank is. we're all members of the same team, and we're team members, and we work side by side. And so our mission, enriching lifestyle through exceptional service, our vision to be the best city through the relentless pursuit of excellence. And so I'll give you a good example of relentless pursuit of excellence. Recently, we had a citizen who was a utility billing customer, a customer for our utility billing system, and she was physically impaired and also extreme difficulty with eyesight. And so she was behind in payments. And so instead of turning her water off and that sort of thing and making life even more difficult for her, Sarah Leto and another member of our team, Sarah Leto is the supervisor of our billing office, a new supervisor of our billing office in the last 6 months or 9 months, I guess. And Sarah, instead of going through the bureaucratic red tape, we're going to shut her off and this sort of thing, they drove out to her house, knocked on the door, took a check and got things all set up, and then got her enrolled in automatic pay. So that's a relentless pursuit of excellence. That's a great example of compassion as well. Excellence and compassion go together. And so that's an example. It's daily. It's not just a one-time occurrence. It's something that, as leaders, we're coaches, and so what we have to do is we got to walk the talk. We got to be an example of that. If we see a pothole out there, and the pothole's on Cypress Gardens Boulevard, well, that's a state road. The bureaucratic thing to do would be say, call DOT 534, whatever. Well, that's not customer service. The customer doesn't care how the pothole gets fixed or who does it. They just want to know that it's going to get done. And so exceptional service is the person in city government that takes that call day in and day out and makes sure that the right thing happens and accepts responsibility for the transaction. That's customer service, and that's exceptional service. Our values of integrity and respect, I'm not going to define that. We all know what that is, day in and day out. Financial stewardship, well, we have the best financial steward in any city in Polk County, that being Cal Bowen. Cal has been here, well, I'm going to say 30 years, but it's 42. The person behind me is counting, not me. Anyway, if you can be a chief financial officer and you can stay someplace for 42 years, you have integrity, you have respect, and you know what you're doing, period. And so, that speaks highly of the entire team with respect to our finance department. So, my hat's off to Cal. It's not just about tracking the money that makes for a good chief financial officer. Can you make decisions? Can you make things happen? Can you make things happen that the citizens in your city that you serve want? And as part of State of the City, well, we're in good financial shape because of his ability to be able to provide direction, make decisions, and advise the board of directors about the right things to do. Good case in point, can we afford the new field house and conference center? If so, how are we going to do it? And so he was instructed to come back with a financial plan on how to do that. And so he did that. That's just one example right there. And so there are countless day in and day out in my discussions with Cal. He's a great example of being extremely capable, solid, day in and day out. Inclusive. Well, I think we know what inclusive means. It means that we're going to be willing to listen to ideas that are different than ours. And so I have to work hard at that because I tend to be a driver. And so consequently, do I care where the ideas come from? No. But I'm interested in getting there. And so I have to work hard to make sure, have I been inclusive? And have I brought in the right people? Have I included everybody? or have I allowed silence? And so we don't want that silence. All right, visionary. It is important for all of us to be visionaries. We've got to have a sense of direction about where we want the organization to go. And so the state of your city is that we do have a vision, and we are living this vision day in and day out. You're going to receive presentations today from the members of our team. As part of rolling out mission, vision, values, we've identified some areas that we think are very important. I'm going to touch upon too before I sort of talk about the rest of the team. We have workforce challenges, just like all of you in this room. You're business proprietors. You work in a company. And so we have challenges as well. We have about 500 budgeted positions. At least 12 to 15% of those positions are vacant right now. Why are they vacant? They're vacant because the economy is very strong. And so we compete for the best just like you do. In utilities, for example, it's important for us to provide safe drinking water. It's important for us to make sure that wastewater is treated properly so we don't have improper discharges all over the city. This is the city of lakes. I mean, what would happen if we had, if our workforce was not competent and didn't believe in excellence? The lakes would all be polluted. Would you be able to enjoy fishing? Would you be able to enjoy skiing? I don't think so. And it would be pretty nasty. And so it is important to make sure utilities, I always believed that Winter Haven was a trailblazer when it came to its utility system. And so after arriving here in May of 2017, I'm not disappointed. Your utility system is efficient, it works well, and we have very good leadership. And the men and women who work in utilities, they know what to do day in and day out. And so when industry is looking to come here, when a business is looking to expand, they want to know, well, do I have a reliable utility system? And our answer is that you have an exceptional utility system. Ladies and gentlemen, part of your state of the city. With respect to our partnerships that we try to foster all the time, I haven't been successful. Bob Bishop has been an outstanding procurement officer, and he's going to be retiring. One of our challenges is succession planning. We haven't done near enough of that. We all know it. But I've asked Michelle Stan, where's Michelle? Michelle should be on the front row. But as always, she's following instructions, and so she chose her own street. But just to show you that I've changed, okay? I've changed. Michelle, it's great for you to have a choice and for you to be seated where you are. So, Michelle's been charged with coming up with a succession plan that we're going to be using. And I gave her 45 days, but I need to stretch that out a little bit to about 90 days. And so succession plan is important. We've not been able to find a really good procurement officer to replace Bob. I don't really think we've got the strength on the inside, and so we're looking. If somebody develops on the inside, that's even better. But we encourage you, we're looking for really somebody that understands public sector procurement or private sector procurement. But I want somebody that understands public-private partnerships, because that's what we're into today as part of your state of the city. And then lastly, we've already talked about our financial health. And so today, you're going to have, as part of your state of the city, you're going to have an overview from our assistant city manager, giving you a snapshot, the status of all of our capital projects that are finished, as well as those that are underway. I want you to join me in congratulating at least 40 years of outstanding service to Polk County and also all the cities here, Winter Haven included. And now that we have Merle Bishop as our growth management director, Merle, of course, is going to be retiring in March until we go through recruitment and find somebody to continue leading our growth management department. Merle will stay on part-time. But I want you to join me in giving Merle a round of applause and celebrating his career Earl Bishop has been outstanding. Merle is a champion. The definition of a champion, he does what's right. He's a little bolder than what I was accustomed to in the past, and so I'm pleased to see that. I'm so glad to be able to work with Merle. Merle is just terrific. Okay, our Public Works Director, Michael Corleone. Michael Carnavelli. NJ, he's our Public Works Director. Probably going on about 9 months to 10 months. Absolutely stellar. A champion for excellence. Creative, bold, and has performed at a faster rate than any younger professional I've ever had the privilege of working with. Absolutely. Our Public Works Department is in good hands. Michael Carnavelli. Hip Wynn. Hip has been designated our Smart City Officer, and so consequently, another champion. So as part of your State of the City, you're going to be hearing about why we consider Winter Haven a smart city. Lastly, our Public Safety Director, Charlie Bird. We combine police, fire, and codes as part of our budget adoption. And the reason we did that is we wanted to take a systematic approach. And we understand, you know, one of the top issues in our city is the state of some of our housing and some of our neighborhoods. And so we want to take more of a cooperative approach, a more collaborative approach, working with our citizens. And rather than just go through the citation process, let's see what we can do reaching out and using fire and codes together. So we're not always in a silo. Silos are not cost effective. Collaboration is more efficient and it's better teamwork. And so you're going to hear about that. You're going to hear more about why we're a data-driven organization, because it's important for us to use information to be able to make business decisions. State of the city, running city more like a business, like all you do. Run your business as well. You're going to see that we've incorporated that kind of philosophy in part into our daily decision making as part of our culture. Lastly, I want to give a shout out to Alex Vaca. He is our new airport manager. I want Alex to stand so everybody can see Alex. Alex, ladies and gentlemen, as part of your State of the City, Alex is a champion for excellence. He is a strong visionary, and our airport is really moving in the right direction. And he's got us on steroids, big time, prime time, and so consequently, he's going to be, unfortunately for us, he's going to have to continue his military service. But we honor him, we respect his years of service to our country. And so he's going to be leaving, and he'll be coming back in a year. And we want you to keep him in your prayers, because he might be in harm's way. We hope he's not. But a true champion, Alex Vaca, please give him a hand. Okay, Alex, with an ovation like that, you got to come back in a year. Okay, it's my pleasure to introduce our Assistant City Manager, Michael Stavres, as part of the State of the City, to show you how your tax dollars are being spent and why we are good spirits, and why when we're given a task and we're given a project, we get it done. Thank you.
Okay, I think we're maybe where we're supposed to be now. Good morning. Make sure I don't step away here. Okay. joy this morning of giving you an update on some of the capital projects that we have underway. And I think in order to talk about what we've got coming up in 2019, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about what happened in 2018. So we came out of the recession, as most communities did, with somewhat of a backlog of some municipal capital improvements that needed to happen. And thanks to the outstanding leadership of our elected officials, the support of our community partners, and internally the rallying cry that Mike has put out, we were able to get a lot of these things underway, and many of them completed in 2018. So just a quick highlight on a couple of things that we did accomplish in 2018. We don't talk about utilities nearly enough, but they are instrumental in everything that we do. It doesn't make much sense to have a city if you don't have good roads, good utilities, good infrastructure to make the businesses, make the daily living sustainable. So one of the most important things that we did in Winter Haven actually wrapped up right as Gary Hubbard, our Utilities Services Director, came on board, was completion of about a $4.5 million master lift station down at the Channel Lakes property. For years and years, if you went by that property, you had that wonderful aroma. Hopefully you guys have come to realize that does not exist anymore. That is a testament to the work that Gary and his team put on this project. But this little piping system here moves 4 million gallons of raw sewage through our city every day. Something like that fails, we are literally up the creek. So, and you've seen the ball fields underwater before. At some point it would look a little different. So we're grateful to say that that much needed project has been completed. We also were able to complete the Winter Haven Tennis Complex. An outstanding Olympic quality tennis complex right here in Winter Haven, clay court facility. Mayor Dantzler really championed this, and as did our tennis community. We needed to do this project for many, many years. About a $2.7 million project that was completed in May of 2018. South Central Park. You can't come to Winter Haven without taking a trip downtown and seeing South Central Park. This project actually started up back in the early 2000s, some visioning that took place. We had done some initial designs and then revamped those designs once we finally had the money to move the project forward. But after an investment of about $4.7 million in downtown, we were happy to open up South Central Park in September of 2018. And it is, if the Ritz is the crown jewel of downtown, South Central Park is the shining star. Because if you go down there at night, it is just illuminated. And we are excited to start putting that project up for some national awards for what we were able to accomplish there. And then Lake Maud Park, this is the most recent one that we opened up out just north of the Polk State College facilities and Diamondplex in the northeast section of Winter Haven. In December of this year, we cut the ribbon on Lake Maud Park. This is a youth sports facility, about a $5 million project when it was all said and done. That focuses on field sports. So we have a stadium, football field out there, plus 2 support facilities that are fields that are underway. We also have playground picnic facilities out there. Wonderful project. One thing I want to point out with all these, every chance we get to work with our local folks to make things happen on these projects, we pursue that. Master lift station with Jones Edmonds and for representatives here in the House that oversaw that project for us. Panoni was the engineer of record on South Central Park. They were also heavily involved in the Lake Maud project and the tennis courts. Everett Whitehead and Son, I know I saw Ryan here somewhere. Ryan's team built the tennis complex for us. They are also instrumental with us on the field house project that we have underway right now. So every chance that we get to focus in on our local folks to put money back in the pockets of our local economy, that's what we want to do. So looking forward to 2019, touch on a couple things real quick. Most important things that we have to get done is our Fire Station 3. So if you live in southeast Winter Haven, you may recognize this area. See if this actually works for me. So this area over here is going to be Lake Ruby Drive. This is Eloise Loop Road, Thompson Nursery Road, Eagle Lake Road. I'm not real sure what all we're going to call it next. This is, if you're out in that area, this is the Dollar General that exists at that corner. And then this area is going to become our Fire Station 3. We are getting ready to release a request for qualifications for design build firms to make that project happen. We have about $3 million set aside to replace the existing modular facility we have up on Cypress Gardens Boulevard. This will also have some housing or some occupancy opportunities within it for code enforcement as well as our police department. So we can, again, take that public safety model and incorporate that all into one facility. If our folks that are patrolling Southeast Winter Haven need to take care of something, they don't have to drive all the way back to the north side of Lake Silver. They can come back to this location maybe to do the reports or to transfer someone that needs to go to Bartow, whatever the case may be. Gives us a great opportunity there. The Chain of Lakes Conference, Fieldhouse and Conference Center, by far, I got to thank Mike and the Commission for letting us move forward with this project, and me personally getting to be a project manager on it. This is the biggest thing that I've certainly ever undertaken. I'm going to say it's probably the biggest project the City of Winter Haven has ever undertaken. About $27 million when all is said and done. We broke ground, I should say we moved earth on October 25th. This is a project that is designed by Strawn Trout Architects out of Lakeland. Jerry Trout is here. Jerry, thank you for your team and everything that they've done to make this happen. Again, Rada Construction out of Lakeland. Ryan Whitehead, Everett Whitehead and Son, who is one of the partners on the construction side of this. Tucker Construction has done Tucker Paving has done all the earthwork on this site. Again, keeping those dollars low is so important to what we're doing here. This is what that project looked like about a week ago. It's probably transitioned many times over since then. What you see happening there is they're actually forming up the tilt panels that will start to fly in the air probably in about 45 days, and you'll see that building coming out of the ground. It's 87,000 square feet being added to the existing 56,000 square foot Chain Lakes complex. When it's all said and done, 6 basketball courts, 12 volleyball courts. We can put 2 full gymnastics facilities within there. We were trying to figure this out yesterday in a presentation. It's somewhere between 4 and 5 Normale halls will fit inside of the space. I don't know that we're ever going to need to have anything that big, but certainly if we do, we are capable of doing it. We also have a great new entrance to Theater Winter Haven, some enhancements there. When it's all said and done, this will be an outstanding, iconic facility for Winter Haven. It's something we can all be extremely proud of. Sports marketing in Polk County is already working to start filling this space come 2020 in January, so that we can start having those tournaments and those activities that keep the cash registers ringing in our hotels and our retail establishments and in our restaurants. So watch for that to happen. We're happy to give updates on this project to any of your civic organizations or business groups. Let us know. We'll be glad to come out and do that and provide some additional footage for it. I call this the Northtown project. This is a combination of projects that we have getting ready, either underway or getting ready to go underway. So first off, let's talk about the skate park, which is up on the north side here. The CRA has contributed $630,000 to develop a skate park on the north side of Lake Silver, or the west side of Lake Silver. This project has gone out for bid. Our review committee next Tuesday will rank and hopefully make a final selection on a design-build firm to make that project, get that underway. The next phase, next project that we have underway right now is the design of South Lake Silver Drive. Kimberly Horner and Associates is doing this project, and it's fully funded by the FDOT, including design and construction, to about $1.2 million. We will take that roadway that exists and make it look much similar to what you see along 3rd Street, maybe from Avenue C up towards Magnolia, where Jesse's and Jensen's and all that is, where we enhance that roadway with drainage improvements, with sidewalks, with lighting, and we make it a more multifunctional roadway for cars and pedestrians. Make a significant improvement to that roadway. And then finally, the park itself, we have some funding this year to go in and renovate the amphitheater, which will include taking down all the concrete seating that is there, plus the structure on top of the stage. So we open that space up and make it another performance stage for Winter Haven, another place that we can have music. The Theater Winter Haven can come do some outdoor events, those types of activities. We're also making an investment into renovating the restroom structure there. As you know, the Cypress Gardens water ski team performs there the 3rd Saturday of every month. They bring in about 1,500 people that we need to accommodate. And some of that is adaptive skiing as well, so we need to make sure that we are providing a facility that can accommodate what their needs are, as well as the countless events that we do there. 4th of July, anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 people make their way down to Lake Silver. We need to make sure that we're ready to receive them and give them that exceptional service. The 7th Street Improvement Project, this is one of MJ's projects. This is underway, has been going since about July of last year. It's about a $3 million investment in 7th Street from Lake Howard Drive all the way down to Lake May and down where the marina is down on Avenue G. What you see here is the north leg going from about JP's offices all the way north up from Central Avenue. So this was recently paved in December, and you can see off to the side here, this is where that 8-foot trail will exist, taking you throughout the corridor. New drainage swales here, new sidewalk along the opposite side. People avoided this road for a lot of times because it was a rough road to ride. It was in horrible disrepair. It had those wonderful humps. Yeah, Alex sees it. I think when we were in high school, we all ran that as fast as we could and see how much area you could get. Unfortunately, we've taken that opportunity away from the younger generation. They'll have to find someplace maybe in the county or in another municipality to do that. But so that's what's happening there. And if you're curious about how bad was this road, well, this is the southbound view, and you can see that we have completely removed the roadway. We are recentering that and rebuilding that entire road. So we appreciate your patience in working with us on that. One thing I'll say is Watson Civil is our contractor on this. Watson Civil is also who is doing the State Road 542 project for DOT. So when it comes to having suitable resources and enough resources in the area to get this project done, they certainly have the wherewithal to make that happen. And this is moving very quickly. This project will wrap up probably early to mid-summer of this year, and we expect great things within that community following that work. The MLK Boulevard Transportation Improvement Project, as you may know, every year we invest monies to improve our roadways by resurfacing. The Commission, in their budget approvals this year, gave us an allocation of $1 million towards roadway improvements. We're going to put about $450,000 to $500,000 of that into redoing MLK Boulevard. As you can see, that roadway is in pretty disrepair right now. So the eastbound lane is constantly getting patched for potholes. We did a lot of work here in 2004, 2005, but this is the busiest urban collector road we have in Winter Haven. It's 7,100 trips every day. Services 2 schools right there on the roadway, a major recreation center, and a lot of us use that as an east-west connector for Winter Haven. You guys probably drive it on a regular basis. Lake Conine Restoration, Wetland Restoration Project. This is one of MJ's as well. This roadway is Lucerne Park Road, headed northbound. This is St. Paul's Church right here. This is Lake Conine up on this end. This is about a 34, 35 acre wooded area, old wetland area that services a 320 roughly acre watershed drainage basin. So the intent here is that we're going to capture all that rainwater, all that storm water that is flowing through this property, and we are going to treat it before it gets into Lake Conine and then ultimately into the northern chain and partially into the southern chain of lakes. This will be a massive, a significant impact to the water quality that we have on the northern chain by being able to take this highly developed area, it's 320 acres, and capture that storm water, treat it naturally through the wetland restoration before discharging it to our water bodies. Florida Citrus Building, I'm happy to say we had our first City Commission workshop there this week. We're going to have a City Commission meeting there on Monday, but this is just kind of a test run and to accommodate some of the stuff we have on the current agenda. But ultimately our goal is to get in that building. We have about $1.5 million set aside over the next 2 years to make renovations happen in this space. We're working with Strong Trout again on a spatial needs analysis for this building right now. And our goal is to be able to transition all of our municipal services that are in the downtown area into this building so you have a one-stop shop when you come to do business with us. You need to do something as far as a building permit, a development plan review, a business tax receipt. We can do all that for you in one place and get you to the right people. It also allows us to create greater synergy and collaboration amongst our team members by having them in one venue. And then finally, probably one of the most significant facilities we have, the Winter Haven Recreational Cultural Center. This is a facility that was built in the late 70s out on MLK Boulevard. An amazing service program we have there. Dwan and Brandon, the folks that run that center, are here this morning. Thank you guys for being here. Our after-school programs are outstanding there. Our summer camps. We do free swim lessons for the community. Being built in the late 70s, this facility needs a lot of love. It's very institutionalized on the inside. It doesn't really open up and say, welcome to fun. So what we're going to do is invest about $1.5 million to $2 million in that facility over the next few years to make improvements to make that more functional for our guests and for our programs. That is a quick run through of what's happening capital project-wise. I know we've got a lot of presentations this morning. I'll hang around for a while afterwards. If you have questions on any of these or any of the other things that we haven't touched on, feel free to seek me out and ask questions. And I'll also need to point out, this does not even include everything that we're doing within our utility system on a daily basis to improve our plants, water treatment plants, wastewater plants, and the like. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to Merle Bishop to talk about growth management.
Thank you. This really is one of the favorite things about my job that I like to do, and that is to talk to people and tell people about what's happening in Winter Haven, because there's a lot happening right now. As you know, it's a great time to live in Winter Haven. Of course, I'll start out by talking about our population. Many of you probably attended the Economic Summit back in November. I gave a complete overview of demographics and the economy and growth indicators, and so I'm just going to give you a summary of that. I gave an update to that yesterday at the Winter Haven Economic Development Council board meeting. Right now, we stand at almost 43,000 people. For the past 2 years, that is an unprecedented 4.1% growth rate, which puts us at one of the fastest growing municipalities in Central Florida. And projecting that out, we anticipate by 2030 we'll be approximately 60,000 people. So that, I think, bodes well for the future of Winter Haven and the economy and all the investments that we've made. And I think it's also a testament to the public investment that the City Commission has made in terms of investing in our community, and it's given the private sector a level of confidence that they can come and invest in our community and realize a return on that investment. That's also reflected in terms of the permit activity that we've seen. Over 780 permits issued for single-family homes, which is the most permits that we've issued in the city since 2005. But the difference is we have the population to support that growth. Of course, in 2005, leading up to the recession, we didn't have the population to support that level of activity. This is what I think one of the things that results from that really is amazing. When we issue a permit, we ask the contractor or the engineer, architect to give us an estimated value of that construction, and that's the basis for the permit fees that we charge. So last year, the permits we issued equaled over $320 million in value of construction, which I think is significant. That's the most value of construction activity in the history of the city of Winter Haven. And then that translates into the actual assessed value of property that you can see there, that we grew overall 23.3%. And then we have our CRAs associated with that, which grew even larger than that. So we're in a great position right now to reinvest the CRA funds to revitalize a lot of projects and programs within the CRAs, particularly within downtown and also in Florence Village. Just real quick, looking at some projects. This is that north development complex that we're talking about. It sort of anchors our downtown on the north, and then I think the field house will anchor it on to the south. There's been several redevelopment projects. Of course, I'm really excited about right next door here with the Social Security building and the possibility that brings to our downtown and renovating a building that's been sitting vacant for many years. We also, I think that the Taylor Hotel has been talked about a lot. I think we're going to hear more about that in the coming months, and that I'm convinced is still a viable project. And there are other projects. Most of the buildings, particularly with the Social Security building, most of the existing buildings have been renovated. So what we're going to see coming out in the future is going to be new development. There's going to be some properties in downtown that we're going to see new buildings built on. And our goal is to maintain that character that we have within downtown. This is the 7th Street that T. Michael talked about. And of course, that neighborhood is starting to redevelop. We've seen projects come in. There's an apartment complex that's coming in on Avenue C. And also in the planning is the redevelopment of the dock on Lake Howard. That's going to be completely rebuilt and redeveloped, so it'll be handicapped accessible and more opportunity for people to come by water to visit our downtown. Of course, another hot spot in terms of growth and development in the city is along Cypress Yards Boulevard, and that's attributed largely in part to the success of Legoland. Of course, Marriott Courtyard opened this month, and we know of other additional hotels that are coming. We've got site plans for one that we're reviewing right now, and there are other hotel sites. And I believe that with the field house on the west end, anchoring Cypress Yards Boulevard on the west end, and Legoland, and the possibility of a development at our gateway on 27, that we're going to see this area really take off. And we're working with the Department of Transportation to try to develop that, see that that's developed in such a way that it's walkable, that it's attractive, and that really creates a destination for people that come to our city and visit, and will stay here more than just a night, and will actually turn left when they leave Legoland and come to check us out in downtown rather than turning right and going back to Orlando area. What's next? I really don't want to take time to go through all of this, but I think what's next is terms of Winter Haven. We've said for some time now, one of the keys for our continued success downtown and being able to sustain the development downtown is residential development. We're going to see more residential development coming right downtown. Of course, 20 on 2nd is currently underway and projected to be completed sometime this year. We're going to see soon, we're going to hear about more residential projects coming downtown to bring residences downtown. Harmony, in fact, I talked to Jim Lentz this morning. I told him I was going to tell you this, and he said that's all right, because that's the truth. We're going to see first phase of Harmony get underway this year. Soon. I also want to point out that many of you heard probably through the budgeting process that we're very concerned with what's happening downtown and the energy and the investment in downtown. What is happening to our neighborhoods? Because downtown is not only supported by new residences coming in, but supported by our neighborhoods that have a connection and connectivity to downtown. Of course, we know what's happened in the Howard Oaks neighborhood to our west, across 17. We know what's happened to our other neighborhoods. We need to engage our neighborhoods and get them more involved in opportunities for redevelopment and reinvestment in our neighborhoods. So we're in the process of hiring a new planner on our staff that will be devoted to working with our neighborhoods, identifying neighborhood leaders, and finding those opportunities. And in that light, we've all recognized, I think, what the impact of having a major transportation corridor coming right through our community, and that's US Highway 17. We need to really take a serious look at US 17 and how can we make improvements to that road that will enhance what's happening on both sides of that road. And so we're asking the state and DOT to help us fund a corridor study for 17 and make those improvements and hopefully make a safe connection between both sides of that roadway. And so also just to point out, Mike Kerr mentioned the activity at the airport. We have a real gem at our airport, a real economic opportunity at our airport. And people have paid attention to our airport. They want to come to our airport. But we lack the capacity. We've lacked the ability to accommodate that. That's resulted in a waiting list of people that want to rent hangar space. So we've made an investment, a public investment, to expand utility service to those properties. And we are confident that people will now come to our airport and say, yes, we want to build new hangar space. We want to bring our business to your airport. And so we're going to see that starting to materialize, I think, this year. So with that, a little overview, I will turn it over to MJ to give you an update on Public Works.
Katie looking at her watch back there, so I'm going to try to keep things moving. Mike had mentioned this morning that we're using data to drive a lot of our decision making, so I thought I'd talk a little bit about what that means in the public works arena. So right off the bat, T. Michael had mentioned our Transportation Improvement Program. So one thing we were able to do this last year that hasn't been done before was holistically look at all of our roads. So we were able to go out and drive a vehicle down the roads, scan them, take measurements, and then that allows us to classify them. So we're able to rank roads on like a 0 to 100 scale, 100 being good, 0 being the worst, and now we're able to compare roads kind of apples to apples. So this is a 60, this is a 30. Then what we're able to do is prioritize those based on their condition and available funding, and in addition to kind of other things going on in the community. You know, we don't want to repave a road right in the middle of one of these big construction projects we have going on this year. We'll wait till next year to do that. So there's always a layer of practicality that needs to be applied to the data. The data is just something we use to inform our decision making. So we're going through also similar processes for our sidewalks and roadway striping. Roadway striping, that would look like, you know, if we know, we're also able to apply degradation to this, so we're able to forecast how a road's going to degrade based on the data we've collected. So if a road's not going to probably hit paving in the next 5 years, but the striping is degraded and that needs to be improved, we can make that decision and kind of pivot as we go. We're also kind of going through the same process for street signs. This is our stormwater assessment and improvement project. This has been something that's been in the works for the last few years. It was 100% funded by the Florida legislature. We worked with Chastain Skillman's team on this. They've really been a big part of making this vision a reality. So again, we start by holistically assessing all of our infrastructure. So that involves being in the field, taking measurements, looking at pipe condition, looking at pipe material, pipe sizes, just kind of all of those in the field structure information that we needed to collect. So that's kind of what you see plotted here are structures, outfalls, and the pipes that connect them. We also were able to fly new LiDAR for the entire city, so that's basically you fly a plane through, back and forth above the city, and we scan the surface with a laser, and we're able to develop really highly detailed topographic information from that, which you'll see more in a second. But then we did a lot of teaching of the data. So one of the things that we had before was I could tell you kind of where we had a structure and maybe what the material of it was or what type of structure it was, but the data wasn't very smart, so we had to teach it. So for instance, now I can ask a structure, what pipe are you connected to, what lake do you drain to, so we can ask more complex questions of that data. So what that starts to look like is this is 2nd Street and Avenue B, the fancy spot I think everybody's been. So this is where the 20 on 2nd apartments are. And so we're able to ask, like I said, more complex questions of the data. So we can say, for instance, with that topographic information and our understanding of the system, if we get an inch of rain in an hour, where do we have puddling on the roadways? If we get 6 inches of rain in 24 hours, where do we have puddling on our roadways? If we get 10 inches of rain in 24 hours, which is what we would call a 100-year event, that'd be similar to like a hurricane, where do we have standing water and how do we manage that? And again, we're doing this holistically, so we're doing it at that level of resolution for the entire city. So then we're able to identify these areas that we need to focus on. So we're identifying that we have some ponding issues in these spots, and then we cross-reference that with, do we have pipes that need to be replaced there because the condition's poor? Is there high pollutant loading potential in that area? Is it connected to an impaired water body? We're able to factor all of those things into our decision-making process. And some of this we can make kind of quick repairs, and some of this lends to just building out capital programs for the future, next 5, 10, 20 years. Aquatic vegetation mapping in lakes, this is another one. When we talk about lake water quality, a big piece of that is nutrient management, and that really has a strong relationship to the health of your aquatic vegetative communities. So again, we holistically assess, we classify, we prioritize. The map you see over here shows just vegetation in the lake. It's what we call biovolume. So where is there vegetation? And this is a little closer up image. This is Lake Spring and Mirror on the southern chain. So the color spectrum you see there is how much of the water column has vegetation in it, and then the dots are representative of species. And we're able to manage that for good water quality, and we're also able to manage very quickly for invasive species because we keep this information current. So we partner with the county and FWC to manage for things like hydrilla, which can grow at a rate of a foot a day. So what we call early detection, early response. If you find that early, you can treat it early before it becomes a problem. And if it gets really big, there's the problem with the vegetation, but when you treat it, you also have this huge release of nutrients into the water column. which can degrade water quality. So it's about balancing all of these things, but we're making much more informed decisions than we were even just a few years ago. Traffic, everybody loves to talk about traffic. So this was a project we partnered with Pannonia on last year. We looked at the 6th Street corridor. So we studied vehicle and pedestrian movements all through the corridor, and a lot of times we'll get questions from the community about making improvements at an intersection, adding a turn lane, things like that. But a lot of times it comes back to, can we make that corridor smarter? So can we change some of the timings? And in traffic, this is something I've learned recently. Traffic is not a huge part of my background, but when you're talking about traffic timing, you're dealing in seconds. You're adding a second here, shaving a second there. But the outcomes of that are really impressive. So on that 6th Street project, we were able to reduce travel time in the corridor by 30 seconds. So that's kind of an average for either direction. One person going through there can get through 30 seconds faster than they could before, which might not seem like a ton if you're running late for work or something. But, what that means to the community, though, is that there's 100 less hours spent just traveling this corridor by the community every day. That equates to over 6,000 less stops per day. And less stops equates to less idling, which means less fuel's being burnt. So we're saving 5,500 gallons of fuel a year in that corridor from this retiming. And that also, less idling, less fuel, comes back to reduced emissions. So we're able to reduce emissions by 3%. So now you're talking about air quality improvements from shaving seconds off of traffic timing. It's really interesting stuff, and we're making really informed decisions. So what's next? Really, just like I said, we're making infrastructure improvements, kind of some of the low-hanging fruit where we can, and then any of the bigger stuff we're incorporating into future capital plans. We're working on implementing an asset management program, so that helps us take all of this data and maintain it and make sure it's current and that we can continue to use it to make informed decisions. Continuing to refine our data set, so we just applied for a grant with the Florida Forest Service to update our inventory of city-owned trees, which again can help us make better decisions about how we manage those. We're looking at further assessments of sidewalks, so some of the information we collected now was just sidewalk location. We didn't really have a great system for analyzing sidewalks in the city. Anytime we had to do sidewalk projects, it was, you kind of had to piece everything together. Now we have data to answer that question very quickly, and we're looking to increase the resolution of that data. We're looking at some traffic master planning. We're also looking at applying the same ideology to how we collect your garbage and how we manage the city's fleet. And then we're exploring other uses for the LiDAR data that I mentioned earlier. That's a really, really robust data set, and we use kind of a small piece of it for the stormwater project. But we think there's a lot of other things we can do with it, and we're still kind of learning about that. So the two big takeaways here are, as the data gets better, we can increase the complexity of questions that we ask of it, and we're making intelligent and informed decisions as we move forward. And I believe the next part of this presentation is going to be HIP, our city's smart city officer.
Thank you. Hi everybody, good morning. My name is Pip Wynn. I serve as the Chief Information Officer and Smart City Officer for the City of Winter Haven. One of the things I love about my job is I'm challenged to be both hip and smart at the same time. I can be hip and smart one day, but both is kind of a tall order, right? So, I'm here to talk about our Smart City initiatives, but before we do that, we need to talk about what is a smart city, right? So, a smart city, the term dates back from the 1990s, but it's become more popular nowadays as communities and cities realize and have embraced the transformative potential of technology. So what exactly is a smart city? Well, if you ask around, where typically people say, well, a smart city would have sensors that supply data that we could use to better manage and monitor assets to improve efficiency. For instance, smart lighting, smart buildings, smart meters, smart waste. Or some cities say, hey, it's when we use data to be able to grab insights and to be able to make better decision making. For instance, using big data, open data, crowdsourced data, geographic data. Some cities say it's about using mobile devices, smartphones, smart tablets, smart watches, devices that allow us to be able to be connected anywhere, and almost anywhere, at any time, to be able to do what we need to do. And really, those things are all true. Those are basically characteristics or descriptions of what a smart city is. However, there's really no consensus of what that is. And so it's really up to the community together to define what exactly is a smart city. Right? And to me, what a smart city is that it's less about the technology, but it's harnessing the power of technology to connect people so that we could have shared insights, shared ideas, shared dreams, and shared aspirations. That's what I think a true smart city would be, and I think we're there. As you go through and look at the directors talk about, we're there, we're doing it, we're using the data, we have devices. And so, but more importantly, it's not really the technology, it's how we bind together and make these decisions together to improve the quality of our community. So it's really an ecosystem in that sense. So what I want to do is I want to talk about some initiatives that we have at the city going that help kind of connect. This is a city, this is a map of Polk County, our municipal fiber network. We have Lakeland's network, we have Bartow's fiber network, and Winter Haven, we actually have 5 miles of fiber network, but that's growing fairly quickly. So 3 years ago, we had maybe 5 miles of fiber. Yeah, by the end of this year, we should have 60 miles of fiber that we accrued. Now, we've done this by partnering with our other departments, as we use a practice called Dig Once. As we have a project that's underway, we put in conduit. Well, every project that T. Michael talks about, we're putting in conduit as part of the project. 7th Street, Tennis Complex, Lake Mud, all those projects we worked and partnered to make sure that the fiber conduit is there. And you do that enough times, you end up from 5 miles to 50 miles. We actually have a dark fiber enterprise where we lease the fiber and we generate revenue. And that revenue allows us to be able to reinvest and grow that network. So we're really using it, we have an enterprise. What that means is we're not actually touching any general fund dollars. This enterprise will grow and be able to go and fund these smart city initiatives that we're looking to do. So this past year, we completed fiber from 30 miles down Lucerne Loop Road to US 27, from Eagle Ridge Mall all the way to I-4. So I know you're thinking we're trying to annex all the way over there. We actually own conduit underneath the interstate highway. So the idea is that that's where we see the potential growth is going to be, and that's where the data and the needs going to be for the fiber infrastructure. This year, we're hoping to connect to the Polk County Sheriff's Office as well as Lakeland. So we're just literally miles away from having multiple loops connecting the entire county together. Literally 4 miles to about 4 miles to Florida Poly. We'll be connected to Lakeland, and then we have maybe a gap here that we need to solve about 6 or 7 miles through the city of Bartow. Now, when we talk about fiber, what does it mean? It provides a transformative power capability, meaning it's so fast you see black, kind of like Spaceballs reference. That's what I typically use. It transforms what we're able to do. I know you know people talk about YouTube and whatnot, but this changes how we do education, how we do medicine, how do we connect and be able to share ideas and practices within government. The other investment we have is be able to go in and increase that innovative capacity. So we invest heavily in terms of that pipeline. How do we go in and attract and retain talent? How do we create and nurture talent within the community, not just for organization? So we have an award-winning internship program that we use to help connect to the community. We actually do technology help at the library every week, and that helps us be able to connect and help kind of assess the needs of the community in terms of the digital literacy and digital objectives of the library. We connected with the Florida Polytech in partnership with the Winter Haven Economic Development Council to do a smart cities idea, kind of an assessment. What are those smart city ideas? That's what we did last year. This year, the project with the Florida Poly students is to figure out how to create a mesh Wi-Fi network within the city. So we actively seek out partnerships to leverage the community and resources and talents out there to be able to achieve that. So we also actively partner with Seek Out Ideas. At the Gigabit Summit, we met a company called iNeighborhoods, and they came in last year to do a smart cities assessment, to kind of assess what we have and to give us feedback. And we're hoping to continue that relationship to be able to create ultimately a smart cities playbook. And since the picture here of our visit Gigabit Summit in Kansas City, And what we learned primarily in Kansas City is that really the technology and innovation is just 10% technology. Most of it is sociology, the connection of people, and how we form. And I think that's the key, is we want to go and create these structures and focus on relationships that we want to build to be able to create these new innovations and to strengthen our communities. And I think that's a key takeaway, is that we got to make sure that once we build this idea of a smart city, that we include everybody. That's an inclusive part of what we do to make sure those ideas, and that's where the true value of these strengths and connections and the strong communities are developed. And I want to finish off by talking about why do we do this? The idea of these new digital natives and how the future, not only for the city that we build for our current residents, but also for our future residents. And I want to give you a story of my son. We were waiting at a restaurant, and he brought along a Rubik's Cube. Hopefully everyone knows what this is. And I said, oh, really cute, right? I'm going to wait until he asked me if I could help him solve it. I could solve it for 5 to 10 minutes. And I didn't know that I was very surprised and happy that he was actually playing with Rubik's Cube. Here's a picture of him doing the Rubik's Cube. I was blown away. 2 weeks ago, I did not know that he could do this. I learned that he taught himself on YouTube. So the speed and the potential of technology is there and amazing, and it surprises me every day. Imagine me going home and I'm asking him, how did he solve it? And my oldest son, he's trying to figure out how to solve it blindfolded, watching a YouTube video. See how that goes. But the world changes so fast, so we gotta constantly retool, readapt, reconnect, and evaluate how we're doing things. And I think that's the beautiful thing about smart city and the initiatives we're taking on, is that it's a constant surprise. Thank you. I'd like to introduce the next speaker, Public Safety Director, Charlie Burke. Charlie.
Good morning, and I don't talk fast, and I'm following up, and you're late, and that's not a good outcome for me. But we'll get there. We'll get through this real quick. So with that said, I want to invite you, if you want to get more detail about this, what I'm about to present, come to the Monday night commission meeting, and you'll get a little more detail on this, because we're going to present to that as well. We put together the Public Safety Director, or Public Safety Department, and a lot of people are like, oh, what does that mean with police and fire, and what does that look like, and what are you going to do, and how does that benefit? Well, this is our first initiative. This is one of our first initiatives that we have, with many more planned. But one of the things that we look at, what you're looking at is a pin map here. And a pin map, you heard Merle talk about a hotspot. A pin map has where we put, in law enforcement, where all of our crimes are taking place. And then, since we're over fire too, we decided to look at where all the fire calls are being, services are being done. And then the code cases. And what you see is, as they start filling in, you start seeing what we call hotspots. And this is, I got to use this point one time, because that's just really cool. We have hotspots, and you see how they kind of overlap. And those hotspots are, what we found is, in law enforcement, is where you have code issues, you have crime issues, and apparently we have fire issues as well. So what we're going to do, this particular initiative that we're going to be doing is going to be between police, fire, code, that public safety, but we're also adding the public works in there, because they're going to get people on the street where they can look at bushes and different things and other issues that are in neighborhoods to see if we can find out how to improve safety there, to make it more, we want to make these neighborhoods where people want to move into them again. That's what it's really all about, is with our economic development and everything else. If we can make our neighborhoods look great, then that's what we want to do. So in the past, with code enforcement, what we've always done is we've always cited. We go, we cite, we see a violation, we cite, we go before a special magistrate, but it doesn't always work. we don't always get the results we're looking for. We go for a special magistrate, and these things add up and add up and add up. We're taking a completely different approach to this. And that approach is, we want to, how do we gain compliance? How do we get you to gain compliance? So here's a little bit different. Instead of us going and enforcing things, we're going to go into these neighborhoods and we're going to try to get everyone involved in their neighborhood, people that live there back involved in their neighborhood, by saying, you have a violation, but how can we get you to compliance? What resources can we offer to get you to compliance? How can we get to the point where we can make your neighborhood where you're proud to live in again? And we're going to take one hot spot at a time. This is probably going to be about a year out as we're going along. We're going to take one hot spot at a time and we're going to hit that. We're going to utilize police, fire, and code personnel. What does that mean? That means we're going to have a force multiplier. In the past, if we did something like this, it was very demanding on resources and would almost always end up costing us an overtime. By combining all three of those departments and actually the public works as well, we're not going to have that. We're going to have a small army of people to go out and hit these areas that would normally take us 2 days to go out and hit. We're going to be able to, we believe we're going to be able to hit these areas and do everything that we need to do and talking to them within 4 hours, certainly within 8 hours in a day with no problem. So we have a force multiplier, it's costing less, and it's not going to be as overloading on our, and overtaxing on our resources. I'm trying to speed through this, so that's why. We'll do it, we'll basically have briefings at the very beginning, we'll train, we'll get our personnel out there, and then we'll start hitting those areas. Each person that does a contact with someone, if I have a contact with Donna, I'm responsible for going back and following up with Donna through the 30-day period and saying, how can I get you to compliance? We're going to utilize educational tools. One thing is, I got ahead of myself. Timeline, we're going to kick it off in February. Each one with the training hour. We'll take the properties, you'll follow up every 30 days, and you'll make contact with the residents accordingly to make sure that they can get the resources they need to help them become compliance. We changed our notices. Instead of it being about fines, it's about a courtesy notice. This is what we want you to do, this is what your violation is, and this is who you can contact to help you. So our educational flyers, it tells what those violations, these are the more common ones: overgrowth, abandoned vehicles, house numbers being offered, or the containers, solid waste containers being left out by the road. Just to give you an idea of how do we get to compliance, those, hit the wrong thing. Those numbers right there, those house numbers, we're going to have everybody that's involved in these initiatives are going to have house numbers. If we find somebody that's in violation of that house number, we're going to try to help them get it done right then, put the house numbers on. Those are important, especially whenever it comes to law enforcement, fire, EMS, because when we're hunting for a house, those are precious moments that we need to be able to possibly help someone. So we're going to do that up front with them. So come Monday night and find out more about that. The other initiative, the best practices, we're putting drones out. We've got several drones. This is a force multiplier because we're able to utilize drones where we would normally have to use multiple people to do searches. If we have a criminal, a burglary suspect, and we respond to it, we've set up a perimeter, we can send a drone in. It'll have FLIR. It'll have the ability where normally we'd have a canine and a spotter that goes in with the canine officer. Now we can set up perimeter, and it's more safe for our personnel. The other part that's very important, I believe, is in the missing persons. If you have an endangered and missing person, that's a resource that we can get into the air immediately. Instead of having to wait for the bloodhound to come, we can get this thing in the air when we start looking for endangered people. Not always can the helicopter launch. We have access to that with our relationship with the sheriff's office, but that can't launch. Sometimes it'll be clear here, and it's raining or foggy at the air base, and we can't launch. So we're utilizing this on police and fire side, and we think this is an outstanding best practice that we're going to be doing. The total cost for the equipment training was $25,594. cost given by our grants and second dollar training funding was $22,000, so our actual study cost was $3,426 to put this program in place. And lastly, you're the first ones to actually publicly find out that we're kicking off an app, a police app. It's in conjunction and in partnership with the CRA. Basically that's what our app looks like. You can go right now and you can download that app and start utilizing it. It will give everything that's on our website at the police department is on this app, but then it also gives you really big thing is you can submit a tip directly from your phone. We all know that a lot of you probably don't even use a computer. Most of the time you use your phone, and so you can submit a tip. That tip gets sent out to everyone at the administrative level, so that we'll have some kind of a response. Officer Rusich is one of the ones that will be kind of at the head on that and responding to those. But we want to make sure that we can do that. We still encourage, if it's an emergency, dial 911. Don't. I'm getting robbed. Dial 911. However, there could be circumstances that it might be better to text, you know. So anyway, with that, utilize that. We're going to be kicking. This is an official kickoff, but it's quick. So we got other material, but show up Monday night and we'll give you a little more details.